So good afternoon, everyone. My name's Abhi Gupta. I'm the Executive Vice President of Ocugen's commercial and business development teams. And it's a pleasure to talk to you about Ocugen today. Ocugen is a pioneering gene therapy company. We're focused on ocular diseases. These are forward-looking statements. And I'm going to play two videos for you.
I was able to see right here, this movement on my hand. I didn't used to see it. Now I can see the movement. I don't see it clearly, very clearly, but I can see a movement there. And that's, that changed. Sorry. All my life, I knew about this illness. And now I have a hope.
The first thing that kind of came around was my mother spotted it, sent it over my way. Of course, always a bit skeptical because there's a lot of treatments that are thrown out there. But after kind of reading through at least how the trial was structured, you know, gene therapy has always been something that has seemed very promising. The idea that it was a one-time treatment, I've noticed my right eye has progressively gotten worse and worse and worse this year. At least for my vision getting worse, this has been kind of a bad year for me. But in my left eye, it stayed consistent and improved. And that's the treated eye. It's easier to see. It gives me a bit more confidence, and keeping what vision I do have gives me much more room to build the world in a way that works well for me.
Okay, so what you just heard were two amazing patient testimonials from participants that are actually in our trials. And the reason this is important for Ocugen is because this is what we're all about. We're a global gene therapy company, and we're creating medicines that restore and enhance vision for patients. And so in the first video, what you heard was the patient with retinitis pigmentosa is a disease where you lose peripheral vision and night vision, and eventually your central vision. Here, we're not only just maintaining our central vision, but getting that peripheral vision back. You heard that story from that patient. And in the second video, with the patient with Stargardt disease, it wasn't just about stabilizing the disease, but you could see that it's restoring hope so that he can go on and pursue his educational dreams more in a more robust way. And so, who are we, and how are we different? We've all known gene therapy in ophthalmology. It's been around for almost the last 10 years. But what's different about Ocugen is that we have a gene-agnostic approach. We have a proprietary platform that allows us to target not one, but multiple mutations. And the reason this is valuable to us, and the reason why this is so exciting, is because it means that we can access even more patients, not just in the US or Europe, but in the entire globe, and that this has never been done before. And so our aspiration is to file 3 BLAs in 3 years and to launch these programs. And you can see that in the US and Europe, these are large, large diseases. So I'll start with retinitis pigmentosa. There's a significant unmet need in retinitis pigmentosa. There's only one gene therapy that's approved, and it only treats about 2,000 patients. The global incidence, we think, is about 1.6 million patients, and just in the US and Europe, it's around 300,000 patients. So you can see that there's an incredible opportunity. Our gene-agnostic platform means that we can target not just one mutation, but more than the 100 mutations of retinitis pigmentosa. And so it's a one-time treatment that has the ability to restore vision. Most importantly, our trial is on track for enrollment and for filing its BLA next year, and we plan to do just that. We're doing a lot of process validation work, and it has received RMAT and ODD designations from the FDA. So one of the key things about our retinitis pigmentosa program is that it's demonstrating both safety and durability. So safety is a big deal in gene therapy, especially now, but in all our programs, we've demonstrated just that. And what you're looking at here is actually the durability on multiple mutations, but also on the rhodopsin mutations. There have been no severe adverse events. In 10 out of 10 patients, it showed the improvement and preservation of visual function. And most importantly, our endpoint here is LLVA, low luminance visual acuity, which we think is a robust and accurate measure for patients in the short term. For Stargardt disease, we also think that there's a significant unmet need because there is no available therapy as of today. In fact, a lot of players have tried to design gene therapies here, but have failed. And so there's about 1,200 mutations implicated in Stargardt disease. And again, our gene-agnostic approach has the ability to upregulate key functioning genes for Stargardt disease. And again, it's a one-time treatment, and it focuses on the ABCA4 associated retinopathies. Earlier this year, we cleared our IND, and shortly thereafter, we dosed our first patient, and we expect to finish enrollment in next year and also file subsequent to that our BLA. Based on some of the seminal conversations we had based on our phase 1 trial, we were able to move this trial not into just a phase 2, but a phase 2/3, and design it in such a way that it meets both the US and European requirements. So we're very excited about this program, and it has also received an orphan drug designation from the FDA. So what you're looking at here are some of the structural and functional outcomes. The hallmark of Stargardt disease as well as geographic atrophy is that there's 4 main pathways that are implicated. And what we're doing here is we're targeting all 4 pathways, from lipid metabolism to oxidative stress to complement as well as inflammation. And while we think the drivers are lipid metabolism and oxidative stress, what you're seeing here is actually mean change in BCVA and actual mean change in total atrophy. And these results are significant, p equals to 0.031, and they're meaningful for patients as well. So our phase 2/3 confirmatory trial is designed to have a true control, 2-to-1 randomization, between our treatment and control arm. And most importantly, we have about 24 patients in the study that's going to read out in 8 months with an interim look. Our primary endpoint here is structural, so we're actually looking at atrophic lesion size, but our secondary endpoints are also looking at BCVA and LLVA as well. And critically, this is looking at the entire disease and the entire population from early to late, including pediatric patients. So this is one that we're really excited about, and our dose is actually relatively pretty low to what's being studied out there. Now for geographic atrophy, this is one that is not a rare disease, but you can see it affects about 20 million patients in the US and Europe, and about 250 million patients globally suffer from this disease. We're developing a one-time treatment which is what we call OCU410, and it affects all the 4 pathways that I mentioned before. It has an ATMP classification in Europe. In our phase 1, we had no SAEs, and our phase 2 enrollment is almost complete. You can see that there's 2 approved therapies already for this disease, but the reason that we're excited about therapy is because those programs that are commercialized are not available in Europe because they don't necessarily meet structural and functional requirements. Maybe structural, but not functional. And so we're designing our trial in a very robust way because there remains to be no approved therapy in Europe as of yet. And so in our phase 1, when we looked at the lesion growth, what we actually saw was a pretty dramatic reduction between the untreated and the treated eye. And the slower lesion growth versus fellow eyes after a single injection demonstrates promise of our therapy. We also see this in the preservation of visual function in LLVA. in 2-line difference, and we think this is actually really meaningful for both regulators and for access bodies. The design of our trial is unique in the sense that we're looking at unique endpoints, structural, and this is important for not just the US and Europe, but also functional. Again, that being very critical for European regulators. And you can see that we also have a pretty robust randomization plan between high dose, medium dose, and our control group. The most importantly, in our 6-month interim data, not only did we see a slowing of lesion growth, but what we saw was that when we compared this to the therapies that are available, it's actually a pretty robust, it's a pretty robust difference versus the therapies that are available in the marketplace. And so our near-term milestones are that we want to finish recruitment for OCU400 for retinitis pigmentosa and file that with a BLA MAA next year. For the 410 Stargardt program, our registration trial has initiated, and with this adaptive design, we think it has the ability to accelerate even more. For our geographic atrophy program, it's in phase 2, and we expect the first quarter release of full data in 2026. And last but not least, we have an OCU200 program, which is in phase 1 clinical trials, and we aim to provide preliminary safety and efficacy updates shortly thereafter. Thank you.
Thank you, Ocugen.